Hurrah! Lights out. Right, let me just turn this off. Again, it was another bit of a challenge just to get sorted. Should I get some little candles on the go here? Just until I wait until people start to pile in. If anyone piles in, again, I'm about an hour later than I wanted to be, which is pissed me off. But shit gets in the way sometimes, and I didn't really get a chance to. I didn't get a chance to say anything. I put a little post out saying that I'm running late. I can't use them. One thing I'll never run out of in this house is tea lights. Oh, we got someone with me. Hey up, Michael. How you diddling? I'm so sorry, mate, about the lateness. It's a long story, and yeah, we're up and running now. We're up and running. We're cooking with gas. To create a little bit of ambience, you know. Who doesn't love a bit of ambience? Oh, fuck me sideways. Good. Nice one, Michael. Much appreciated. Who else is with us? Come and say hello. Don't be shy. Yeah, Mum won. I'm so sorry. I've got that Friday feeling. Oh, that's ever so bright. Right, so what are you up to tomorrow then, Michael? Is it working, mate? Are you on buses? Oh, can you imagine if it was still like that? You know, you think back to the good old days of on the buses. Oh, nephew, Blakey. You know, I'm sure it's not like that where you work. You know, I'm sure it's all a bit PC. You know, you can't walk past. Well, what was it called? The ones that used to collect the tickets. Conductors, you know, female conductors, pretty female conductor. You can't smack their asses as they're walking by anymore. You'll end up in jail. Not that I'd ever, you know, I don't condone that sort of behaviour. Some women love it, but it's just you can't tell until you've done it, and that's when the trouble starts. So you're better off just keeping your hands to yourself. I did for a while, Michael. Yeah, it was going round and going round and going round, and then I just started afresh. That didn't work, so I turned it on and turned it back on again. Remember in the early days when everyone just started getting a home PC, when it was semi-affordable to have a PC at home. Now every fucker's got one. You know, in fact, if you look at what average computer can do, you know, people have got an average of like four or five in the houses now. You know, a computer, a laptop, an iPad, and a couple of mobile phones, you know, and something else. Everyone's got one. PlayStation, can do everything, all of that on a PlayStation, more or less. But yeah, back then they set up these computer. Well, I think Microsoft did it. You know, that bastard. You know, any way of extracting any more money, you know, out of anybody. Set up these computer support centers that you didn't realise were like £3 a minute, and for that £3 minimum, All you got was, have we tried turning it off and then turning it back on again? So you do that and everything's okay. And you're between £3 and £6 down. Yeah, I got it sorted, mate. Got it. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you know, this is what I'm saying, you know, what is progressive? You know, what is liberal? Because the liberal left isn't liberal. It's the opposite of liberal. You know, so don't call, why are they called liberals if they're not liberal? You can't do anything now. You think back to the 70s and the 80s. I mean, does anyone remember like Confessions of a Window Cleaner and Confessions of a taxi driver, or Confessions of this and Confessions of that? Oh, soft porn that was, and it was on the telly. Hey, Lana, you all right, sweetheart? Good to see you. Good to see you. Aha, here you are. I was still waiting. I know. This is my 74th attempt. No, third. It just takes a while for it to warm up. Then I'd not eaten all day because it's just been a mad rush. So I ended up cooking a carton of soup, but a good quality one that was whoopsed. Been in the fridge for a couple of days, you know. I had to flick the cockroaches out and get the green stuff off, boil the shit out of it. Fine. Or I hope so. I'll let you know in the morning when I'm scared to fart. Yeah, do you know what? I dug this out of my out of the car. It's just like, you know these like local maps that have got like a grid on them. You see that? Now everyone should have one of these that covers your area in a grid, so that if you end up, I know again this is a bit SHTF, you know, but then that's what the channel's about. If you're just communicating with walkie-talkies and you've got like a 1.5 mile, 2 mile radius, and you just all you're saying is I'm in F3, you know. So if you're in trouble, I'm in F3, and then we can come to help you out, come to your rescue, give you some backup, you know. So I've always had one of them, and the reason I've kept that is because I know that further down the line, especially if that turns into some sort of barracks down the road, you know, you just don't know. You don't know. Hey, Pete, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Oh, even Lana's remembered to call you Pete. Isn't that lovely? You know that Neil McVoy. Does anyone remember who I'm on about? He did a video about a week and a half, maybe it might have been 2 weeks ago now. It wasn't any longer than that. And he was talking about some bloke that he knows who's got these amazing emergency blankets. And he says, I do make a little commission off each one I sell. You'll find a link in the description box. And they were like 12 quid each, 12, 13 quid each. But I couldn't find mine to do a quick video to say, don't listen to this prick, he's ripping you off. These, you know, they're all right. They're good in an emergency. They're all right. And they are little sleeping bags. And these ones are a bit more robust than the ones that some of the ones you can buy. But these, you pick up the top price you're going to pay, really, if you're stupid, is about £8.50 for two. Now, he was making I think Neil McVoid, whatever he is, he did a video tonight. He does a walk and talk every Friday. I know you know what I'm on about. The guy's a multi-millionaire. A multi-millionaire. Yeah, he's got businesses left, right, and centre. He's got shares in God knows what, left, right, and centre. Yeah, he's still got that little love heart at the bottom saying thanks. He lives in a fucking mansion. you know, and his missus quite attractive, you know. I wonder why she's with him. I wonder why she's with him. American girl. But yeah, don't fall for his bullshit. If you want to get these emergency blankets, and if you can afford them, you know, just get them off eBay. 2 for £8.50 delivered. You know, they do come in handy. They are useful. I have got 4 in my car, along with loads of others. So what I'm going to do is, at some point, I'll show you what I've got in my car. The only thing I've not got in my car is water, and that is because I'll find it. You know, I'll find water. But I've got water purification. I've got stuff that I can use to cook with. I've got first aid in there. I've got food in there for me, for the girls. I could literally just jump in the car and go, but I won't, because I believe in the castle doctrine, and I will defend my home using lethal force if necessary. You know, because you've got a right to use lethal force. We need to be operating on laws, you know, not acts and statutes. Fuck all that. You know, if you know what you're doing, you can fight them in court. Annie's in the house. How you doing, Annie? Rock on. I mean, they say that it's a sign of the devil. It's a sign of the devil. You're all evil. What a load of bollocks. It's just rock and roll. It's rock and roll. Don't roll with it. How's your garden? How's your lady garden coming along, Annie? Is it all right since I checked it out? Good. I'm still a bit chesty, but feel all right. Feel fine. You know, and yeah, I'm really focusing on trying to find as many anti-parasitic natural remedies as possible. And as soon as I come up with stuff, I'll let you guys know, because I do think that is a massive problem, and it's a problem that no one can see, you know. And I think Lana, she was the first one to send me a screenshot of something that looked really weird, really odd. And then I managed to find the actual video clip of the screenshot that she'd got. And that was about a week and a half ago, Lana, something like that. And now Redactors only just started to cover it. And this is stuff that's coming out of the skies, you know, and these things under a microscope, they look like eggs. So they're being dispersed in the sky via like crazy mad aerosols, and then they're coming down, and you know, and we're breathing it in. And these particles are so small that you know you're going to breathe them in. So bar walking around with a fucking gas mask on all day, there's no way of avoiding it other than looking into healthy foods and anti-parasitic herbs and stuff like that, and spices. They're all out there, and most of it you can grow yourself. Garlic's a good one. It's all that shit in this. The sky rats. I like that. The sky rats. People used to call pigeons sky rats or flying rats. I like pigeons. I like all animals. But yeah, the bastards they are. Bastards. It was Health Ranger Mike Adams on Brighteon. That's it. Thanks a lot, Lana. Yes, if you get a chance to go on Brighteon and go flick back through some of their stuff, probably about a week ago, maybe 10 days ago, something like that, and they do a proper video on it, and there's someone live during the video that's kind of got it under and might have got all this stuff that they've just. It was a woman's polytunnel, right? And no, that's not a metaphor. And basically she was able to look through this polytunnel, you know, through the plastic, very, you know, it wasn't opaque. She was able to look through and see stuff growing. And then after one night of dodgy rain or dodgy something, it was like it was all opaque. So she cut a slice off, a square off, and sent it off to this chap, and he got it under the microscope, and some right mad weird shit on there. You know, most of you guys are going to notice, like, you know, you've just, you know, you've not been a lazy bastard and gone down to the car wash and gone for the medium car wash so you get to see all the little pretty colours, you know. You've done it yourself and you've given it a proper good wax and it's gleaming, you know. You can eat your dinner off it. You can see your face in it. Following morning, and he's cleaning again because of all the shit that's coming out of the sky. And if it's that bad on your car, imagine how much shit you're breathing in. Imagine how much of that you're seeing, you know, you're actually taking in through your nose and your mouth. You know, it's mad. It's madness. And it's even worse. It's not necessarily worse at night. You can see it at night because when I take the girls out, I've got a pretty decent head torch. Well, I've got a few decent head torches, and when the light's shining forward, I can just see all these particles floated around. You know, if it was, if it was rain, you know, just really, really fine rain, I'd know there would have been some sort of cloud up there. You know, if there was a lot of moisture, if there was a lot of humidity, yeah, you know, it's not. These are when there's been consecutive dry days. Now, yeah, some people could say walking on these paths, you know, it can kick up a bit of dust and stuff, but nah, not like that. Not like that. It's so obvious. So if they are spraying parasite eggs into the air and you're breathing them in, then we've got to come up with ways of combating that. So, I mean, I had a really nice chicken soup tonight, not homemade, but it was a quality one. And I don't like the taste of coriander. I think it tastes disgusting. It's fucking horrible. But I know the power of it. So I bought 2 plants and it's thriving on my kitchen window. So I just take loads and loads off that, and then I'll chop it up dead finely and stick it in my soup and eat it that way. And it attracts like a magnet. It attracts heavy metals, you know, mercury. And then when you think about these heavy metals, and then you think about the fact that we're being, you know, irradiated with Wi-Fi signals, with stuff that's coming from the sky, from these towers. You know, you put something metal. I'm sure some of you have left a little bit of foil on something that you've got to put it in the microwave. You've not realised there's a bit of foil on there, and you've got all these flashes and sparks. So if your body's full of metal, that's kind of happening to you. You know, not good. Hi, Watcher 123. I nearly missed you there, mate. Camicom Institute. What's that? Let's say a butcher's hook. The Camicom. It sounds like Comic-Con, you know. Camicom Institute. And my phone, you know. If it does it again, I'll show you. I'll show you in real time what it's been doing. Very bizarre. Let's have a look. Camicom. Is that right? Have I spelt that right? Oh, it's gone down. A woman's polytunnel in her lady garden. Oh, you dirty bitch, Annie. I think I've spelled that right. Institute. Nothing's coming up yet. The Kamicom Institute is not a known or widely recognized educational institution or research center. The provided search results link to Kamicom, a band that covers video game music. Oh, that's, yeah. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the relevance is there. Meow China. I'm intrigued. We all are. Have you noticed that even though we have lots of sun, they are still spraying? But I have not seen a natural cloud in the sky for at least 10 days straight. I saw some clouds the other day, but that's it. It wasn't, you couldn't even call it the Simpsons. So I used to call it the Simpsons sky. You know, when you've got the occasional pure white fluffy cloud and then this beautiful deep blue. We don't get that beautiful deep blue anymore. You know, it's like a powdery blue. But yeah, there's definitely something amiss. My dad cracked a joke on Wednesday saying, we're going to get a nice long stretch of sunny days. He doesn't even talk like that. Nice long stretch of sunny days. And that'll be your fucking lot for the rest of the year. It'll just be rain, storm, floods, hail, and plastic snow. Because I'm hearing of places, Carnicom. Right, let me have another look. Because I don't like messing about with my phone when I'm engaging with you guys, because I feel like it's rude. But I'm very, very curious. And you put it in big letters there. You're angry that I didn't get it right the first time. So I do apologise. Carnicom. Research for the benefit of humanity. Anything that I read now that says for the benefit, because it's for your health. It's to keep you happy, to keep you healthy. It's for you. It's to keep you safe. It's to keep Granny safe. A non-profit organisation working solely for the benefit of humanity. Our goal is to provide the public with beneficial and responsible information through scientific, educational, environmental, and health research for the public welfare. The Institute is currently focused. See, it's doing it again. Where was it? Focused on the important issues of geoengineering and bioengineering. I'm going to save that to my home screen so that I can look a bit more into that. Yeah, so anyone interested in researching that a little bit further? Anything that's for the genuine betterment of humanity, I'm all for. You know, bring back Nikola Tesla. So yeah, anyone that's pro-life. I mean, I was reading earlier on that they're on about bringing in 2-year sentences for people preaching about Christianity in the streets. And even if you did it silently, if you put your hands on someone, like faith healing, whether they want you to or not, even if they said, yeah, do it, you can get nicked and get up to 2 years. Yet there's another ideology that can just be, there could be thousands of them right across Trafalgar Square, all praying to Allah. No problem. What the fuck? Over 500 churches now. You know, some have been turned into pubs, some of them have been turned into homes, some have been turned into mosques. You know, you don't really get more sacrilegious than that. And I'm not even a Christian, you know. But I do believe in living in a country that that's built on Christian values, because I think it's a nice way to live, you know. But then I've been doing so much fucking research, you know. My brain's like a sponge at the moment. I need to know more and more and more and more and more. And so I started looking into, again, this is not aimed at Jewish people. You need to understand that, right? This is beyond that. This is beyond that, right? So the actual word Jew is almost a brand new word. It wasn't around when Jesus was around or was meant to be around. The word Jew didn't exist. So you take that into account. So that's a new thing, right? So the word Jew is a new thing, okay? A new word. Didn't start off in the Bible. Israel is a brand new country, you know, 1948 was it? So, and how can you be an Israelite if Israel doesn't exist? On top of the fact that there's been so much that's changed in translation to, it's like St. James, King James came along and was like, yeah, let's change all of this. Let's make it we'll condense it down into one book, and we'll leave it completely open to interpretation. We'll take loads of words out, we'll put loads of new stuff in there, and we'll leave out the book of Enoch. We don't want that, which is part of the Bible. So people wonder why I don't have any faith in the Bible or any other book for that matter, because it's been fucked about with. I think there's going to be a lot of truths that are good, because the truth always rises to the top, like cream, like beautiful cream, you know, always rises to the top. And there's going to be a lot of information that's undeniable, that we're going to learn over the next few years or so, that's going to turn it's going to make a lot of Christians think differently. Just saying. Where are we? Did think it was me, but look at it. Looks like a deformed letter M. I'm just getting the power blue haze. Powder blue haze. But I see them spraying 3 or 4 a.m. That's because you're an insomniac, Lana. You've got lots going on, you know. But at least you're up to see it, and you know that it's undeniable, you know. And whether they're spraying the same thing or not is another question. Whether they're spraying something different, going back, refilling with something completely different, and then spraying that. Think of fly spray and flies. Same thing. But you could talk to a normie, try and explain it to him and say, look up. Oh, that's pretty. I could do noughts and crosses in the sky. Then they'll do some research, if we're lucky, and they'll be looking in all the wrong places, and they'll be like, I've realised why they're doing it. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. All right, what's that then? Well, it's so that they can create particles in the sky to deflect the sun, because the Earth's warming up. It's not global warming, it's global boiling. It's not. We're headed towards another ice age. We're still in an ice age. We're officially in an ice age. As long as the North and South Pole are covered in ice, which is increasing, by the way, which is very, very strange considering the Earth's warming up. As long as we've got ice caps, you know, on the top and the bottom of our world, we're in an ice age officially. Jupiter, yeah. There's loads, and well, it doesn't say that. They try and sort of explain who the Jews were in the Old Testament. You have to look all this up. I try my level best to encourage people to do their own research, because you'll learn more. You'll learn more than you would from me, because you're learning at your own pace in your own way, you know. But yeah, went to see War of the Worlds last night. I wondered whether anyone in the audience woke up. There's certainly parts that are relevant to now. Which War of the Worlds was it? The one with the Scientologist in it? What's his name? Little fella. Doesn't seem to age. Adrenochrome is very good for my skin. What's his name? Yeah, because there was a few. There's been 3 different versions of that. No, 4. It started off as a cartoon, and they were going to have 4 legs on it, but to cut back on, true story, to cut back on costs, they made them into like tripods. Terry the tripod. Oh, it was a live performance. Oh, I bet that was good. Dun dun dun. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, there's a song in that, and every time I hear it now, it reminds me of Sally. And it's about kicking the autumn leaves. Now you're not here, you know. Really, really beautiful and sad song. It's sad in the film. It's sad on. I used to have it on record, like LPs. It's in the loft somewhere. That's probably worth a few quid now, because I haven't got a record player. I could always maybe get a little. Oh, and I've quit the club. So I've been going there for about 1.5 years, and let me just explain. So I went out. We go every now and then. We'd arrange to go out. A group of us all go out. Yeah, and the first night it was all right. It was okay. You know, everything was kept shallow. But I don't do shallow for very long. I can't. I don't do small talk for very long. I can't. You know. And so the first time, you know, I behaved myself, and it was a good night. And the second time I went out with my team, with my club, I got onto the whole red pill, blue pill, geoengineering, the jabs, what mRNA is, what CBDCs are. And I felt the atmosphere just crumbling around me, because they just couldn't relate to what I was saying. And that was a very pivotal moment for me. And I just thought to myself, I've got absolutely nothing in common with any of these people. There is one that I think is on the turn. Nice bloke. Really, really nice bloke. But other than that, I've got absolutely nothing in common with any of them. So instead of spending, I've learned and practiced and honed a lot of skills, enough for me to be confident. I've always been confident, but I've never been, it's always been scrappy and a loss of control, a loss of self-control. And you can get yourself into all manner of problems with a mindset like that. So I've honed my skills and I need to continue with them. Now, I can't hang, I need a punch bag. So I can't hang a punch bag from the ceiling because eventually it could bring half the ceiling down. There's nowhere outside that's kind of appropriate enough for me to be able to hang a punch bag outside on the back. There's nowhere, so it has to be a freestanding one. So I'm still waiting on a few people to get back to me on Facebook Marketplace because I want a decent one. I don't want one of these inflatable shitty things, you know. You kind of just give it one jab and it's just gone over, you know, or you just catch it with a ring or something and it pops. I want something proper. And so that's it. You know, I'm going to be saving myself 60 quid a month. If I buy a decent freestanding, and I strongly suggest, if you can afford it, guys, invest in one. And then maybe just watch some YouTube videos and just watch what they're doing. And then just apply that to your punch bag. A lot of them come with weather covers so you can leave them outside permanently. But for a decent one, you're looking at about between 160, 200 quid, you know. So, and I can't afford that. So I'm looking at two that are worth that, but are going for half the cost, just waiting for them to get back to me. So then I can train again. So there's a group message, a group chat on WhatsApp. Again, get your money's worth. Always make sure you get your money's worth. So you can't just pay as you go there. You have to pay monthly or pay annually. If you pay annually, you get like a month for free. But then I'm getting these messages, closed. It was closed for this, we're closed for that, closed for this. I'm thinking I would have paid for all of them, you know, but I couldn't train because there'd be no one there. The building would be locked. So getting one of these freestanding, good quality freestanding punch bags and kick bags, I can go out there and I can train whenever I want for as long as I want, you know. So within a month and a half, that will have paid for itself, and then that'll be 60 quid back in my pocket that I can spend on, you know, making ricin and you know, IEDs. And don't worry, YouTube, it was a fucking joke. I'm the wrong colour to get away with anything like that. Where are we? It was narrated by Liam Neeson. Yeah, do you know Liam Neeson? He has got stage presence, but he plays exactly the same fucking part in every film he's in. Every single, I'll find you and I'll kill you. You know, he plays the same part in every fucking film. You know, it was a little bit like, what's his name? Samuel L. Jackson. Again, another one. He was in everything at one point, everything. You know, you think, oh, I'm watching a film here that's not got Samuel L. Jackson. Someone will knock on the door will open, so fucking Samuel L. Jackson stood there. He's in everything. Forever Autumn. Yeah, absolutely beautiful, beautiful. And it just reminds me of Sal, because she did love that time of year. Me, autumn, I would be seeing cold, damp, decay, death, and a reminder and a warning that winter, short days, cold, all of that shit is on its way. But Sally changed my perspective a little bit, especially on autumn, because we've been camping in places, you know, for my birthday, which is in October, and we've gone places where it's just like a palette of hundreds of different shades of brown and gold and orange and red, and just stunning. So she did bring me around a little bit. Ethan, I will find you. Yeah. Come home with a pocket full of paper leaves that were dropped over the audience. Oh, that's a nice touch. Yeah. Is that from that song? Yeah, I think I would have enjoyed something like that. You know, if it was done properly. It's such a classic. I mean, the original version of that was just, it was on the radio, like the Archers. It was on the radio. People were fucking killing themselves. Literally, people were taking their own lives because it was that convincing on the radio. Look it up. It was that convincing on the radio that people that were listening to the radio, because they didn't have, most people, I don't think anyone had TVs then, so they were listening to the radio, just turning it on, whilst they're washing the pots. And there's been a meteorite that's opened up on Haywards Heath or whatever the heath was, and there's an alien gone. What? We're being invaded. Oh no. People were really, really panicking, really losing their shit. Hopefully, just so it's just not glitching enough, I've turned the broadcast and Lana recommended that I could actually get set up in the front room and have an Ethernet cable connected, because this is something Lana came up with. She's a techie, an artist, area, and have the Ethernet. Yeah, my connection. Your connection is unstable. Please wait while we. Oh man, I do apologise, guys. There's not really much going on here. Film when Neo is about to pick a pill. So there's no space between two and pick. To pick a pill, and reflected in Morpheus's glasses, one lens shows him looking at the pill, and the other one shows. Right, I never noticed. I don't miss a fucking trick, do you, Lana? Nothing gets past you. Realities existing simultaneously. It's quite possible. The whole multiverse thing, me in say 5 seconds time, in one of an infinite amount of realities, will be getting up to go and get a drink and have a heart attack and die on the kitchen floor in another reality. Another one wouldn't be doing a live stream. There'd be another version of me homeless in the street, ODing on heroin in some dark I know this sounds all dark, but these are theories that are kind of holding some weight, especially when we're starting to kind of get to know a bit more about the whole quantum thing. It's fucking mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. Yeah, the ones I'm looking at, bro, are, you can put water or sand in them, but I'll be putting sand in because it is heavier, and I'm hoping I can figure out a way of trying to literally drill it into the fake grass out there, so I can just put it away during winter. And in fact, I won't. I'll be on it all day. I know me. I'll be on it every single day, training on it every single day, just to make sure that I don't lose the skills. If you don't use it, you lose it. And again, I was talking about having potential sidelines in that prep haul video that I did earlier on today, with the supplements, and maybe I should change the word from selling, because you need a license. So I would be bartering with said supplements. But yeah, I've got lots. I've set myself up so that I've got lots of different skills and lots of different options for me to not be part of the system anymore, but still be able to get enough food to sustain myself and the girls, being completely off grid and surviving that way. And I can do it. So it took 5 years to get to this position, But yeah, teaching people how to fight and teaching people how to defend themselves, self-defense, you know. So there's another angle, and it wouldn't cost them anywhere near as much as it would cost for them to go to proper classes. And you only need to know to learn basics. That's it. You know, no one's going to be asking you to do a flying tornado kick, 7 foot in the air, followed by a triple backflip. No need for that. No need to showboat. It's about being practical and feeling comfortable and confident in yourself. That if you're faced with someone, even if they're built like a brick shit house, you know, don't look at them thinking that man could literally snap me in half. Don't think like that. You should be thinking, how can I take him down? You know, there's a difference. Yeah, I tried to get a copy, Annie, of it. I think I might have it on one of my phones, you know, built into the memory of the phone, the full version of it, because I can remember listening to it whilst I was pottering around, doing a bit of gardening, doing a bit of housework and stuff, just listening to the story. Because was it David Essex was in it, and there was a couple of other people in it that were quite famous. David Essex, I think he played the soldier. You know, bear with me. Yeah, so you know, War of the Worlds, you know, and where did all of those people that were in utter distress, where did they all go? Straight to church. They are trying to outlaw Christianity in this country and replace it with Islam. And again, these people are out of touch with the working class. They're out of touch with us. And I don't think they really fully comprehend, especially if they've been paying attention to what's happening in Northern Ireland. You know, when we're experiencing like proper adversity, people come together in a common cause and start fighting back. And we've got the numbers. Yeah, they've got some dodgy tech. They have. But then there are people out there that are creating defenses for this tech, you know. I've already posted some in the post section from these directed microwave energy crowd control weaponry. You know, there's a way around that. There's a way around everything. Hello, Boho Richie. I nearly missed you. Are you off? Oh, good night, Michael. I hope I wasn't too late, mate. I wasn't paying attention. Hope you have a good shift tomorrow. Take care, brother, and sleep well. How you doing, Boho Richie? How you ding dang diddling? All good, I hope. What was the question? Evening beauties. Migrant walks into a woman's house. Is this a joke? He didn't realise her fella was on the sofa asleep. He approached her to do God knows what. Then she screamed and her fella woke and chased him off. Where was that? I wouldn't have given up chase. You know, I don't think any self-respecting bloke here would. I know my brother wouldn't. I know I wouldn't. You know, if they've got into my house and because of this vivid imagination that I've got, I would have pictured all sorts of things that could have happened. You know, and because of that, to some degree, it has sort of happened because it's played out in my head. So that would make yeah. Again, you know, these people, they're very, very different. They're very, very different. And a lot of them have seen war. A lot of them have handled guns. So they're proficient. But if you look at wars that have been fought throughout history, you've got your militias, you've got your people coming together and outsmarting them. You know, you've got countries that have got state-of-the-art weaponry that were still beaten by people that had basically nothing. You know, basic rifles, just sheer determination. And that makes all the difference. So if this does turn out to be a barracks down the road, I can't see it being tolerated for long. And I'm just saying, and then they'll probably want to build a mosque in Long Eaton. And I think it's quite possible that people won't be prepared to supply them with what they need to build it. You know, just saying. I've forgotten how many mosques there are in this country. Is it 3,000 now? Something like that. I think 2,995 of them are in Birmingham, where we're going marching on the 17th. You coming with us, brother? Have I missed anything? No. I know how awful. She said the look on his face. He had a smirk. That's what I mean. They're sick and twisted. Not all of them. We can't tar them all with the same brush, you know. But at the end of the day, they've passed through lots and lots of safe countries. They shouldn't be here, you know. And then they get escorted. Over, you know, and then they send the life jackets back and the boats back, get them cleaned up, get them sorted, put them on the next lot, send them over, you know. The great replacement. Nothing great about it, especially for them. Yeah, you see, it doesn't really take much of the imagination to wonder what that man's intentions actually were, you know. And if I am right about this estate that's just down the road from me, and if that is given up to 70% illegal immigrants, that 30% of families that are offered a house on there aren't going to stay on there for long, you know. And then you've got all of the houses that are neighbouring around there, and some of them have lived in those houses for 40, 50, 60 years. And then I also know that when I worked for this massive care industry or organisation, I know for a fact that they've got service users in the flats directly opposite there, you know. And there have been counts of women being raped, you know. You notice how everyone who's got that little love art at the bottom of their, you know, underneath the video saying, please give me some money, you know. Have you noticed that they all bleep out sexual assault? They bleep out rape because it'll affect their income from the monster, from the beast. So it's going to be a massive shock to the local community. Massive. and it'll turn into a shit tip. It will. It always does. It always does. I mean, I'm sure lots and lots and lots of you have been watching the footage from Birmingham where people are just turning up with wheelie bins. People are just fly tipping everywhere. There's fucking rats everywhere. You know, it's become the third world. Now, a lot of people would argue, yeah, well, it's like that because of the bin man strike. Well, I've lived in multicultural areas, heavily multicultural areas, just like these parts of Birmingham. I have. And they're shitholes. They're shitholes anyway. But it's not the Sikhs, you know. I know Sikhs. I've got Sikhs that live around me, you know. And, you know, I've knocked about with a few. And their homes, immaculate. Their clothes, immaculate. The cars, immaculate. The gardens, immaculate. You know, proud people. Hindus, same. It's just that one, you know. Gimme grants. Oh, I love that. Why have I not heard of that before? Gimme grants. Town near me in Nottinghamshire. Wow, so close to home then. Oh, yeah, I love the Sikhs. But they're one of the biggest, one of the smallest minorities. You know, I think we had a look. I think my little brother, my little brother that's bigger than I am. I think he had a look up, and it's only a few hundred thousand Sikhs in the country, not many. But they're a warrior race, you know. They'll fight, and they've managed to, you know, this is something they've eroded away. The white family, nuclear family. They've eroded that away, and with that, a lot of community spirit. And the last time I saw my community coming together, I scowled at them. So I should be encouraging it, really. I should be encouraging our community coming together and sitting in the streets. But when it's to celebrate the crowning of Charles, knowing what I know, I looked at them. I just thought, what a bunch of fucking idiots! What a bunch of fucking idiots! Narrow-minded, thick as pig shit idiots. That's all I thought. You know, we don't. Fair enough. You might need to get permission to close the roads off by the council and have good reason. And the council are going to go, yeah, well, you know, there are other ways around. It's no biggie, you know. So that would restrict people from having street parties in the summer. Again, same as Christmas. It shouldn't just be down to Christmas as for the family to come together. We need to get back into doing that, because the family unit is very, very powerful. And then if you've got a community full of family units, formidable, you know. And that's one of the reasons why they're eroding it. To make us weaker, divide, conquer, constantly. But yeah, I mean, I've seen footage because everyone's got phones now, so we can see this savage, backwards, third world behaviour. We can see it because people are posting it. You know, well, there was a woman. It was obviously in a place where it was all terraced. I've lived in houses like that, you know. The bins just take over what the Americans would call a sidewalk, you know, the pavements. But I can remember a bin man strike in a multicultural area, you know. I remember one, and it was bad. It was really bad, and there wasn't any of this. Bring all your rubbish to this place, and we'll take it away. Bring all your rubbish to this point, and we'll take it away. There was none of that. It was just piling up and piling up and piling up, you know. And I found goats' heads, you know, on the pavement. Goats' heads, just maggots where the eyes were, where the eyes used to be. Flies everywhere, you know. I don't know anyone personally that slaughters a fucking goat in the back garden and it just chucks the head out in the bin. That's not very civilized to me, you know. And their practices as far as how they get from the animal to the table, it's brutal. It's brutal. Where are we? Hello, Joanna. You all right, darling? Sorry, chaps and chaps. Have a good day, Annie. Enjoy that ride. Feel that power between your legs. Proper biker rock chick. If you could picture a proper biker rock chick, that's Annie. So yeah, you know, the whole there were a few people that ended up becoming Christians because, I mean, I saw it personally. I saw it as a bit of like virtue signaling and a little bit clickbaity, you know. Russell Brand did it, and then I think Tommy Robinson do it? Well, I know a few of his mates did, and it was just tokenistic. There was no, you know, it was. I think that was their way of saying, look, we need to bring Christian values back to the UK, and maybe I can use my platform to promote that by being baptized and becoming a Christian. But there are Christians, and then there are Christians, you know. Yeah, enjoy your ride. I don't know if you're still there, Addy, but which one you take it out? I'm all right on a moped. My brother's got a moped, but it's not a normal moped. No, I think if it was facing, so the fenders and the front wheel was facing upwards, it would probably get to the moon. It's fucking so fast. It's like a 125 or something on a moped. Imagine going that fast on a moped. You know, I've been on a few bikes in my time. I've been deemed the worst pillion passenger that this guy had ever had. And he'd had bikes for 30 odd years. We took me out on a Honda Blackbird. I'd never been on a Honda Blackbird before. And he's doing about 160, 165 coming down the M1. And he slowed right down to about 70, which felt quite slow compared to what we were doing. So I went to lift the visor up because I was a bit stressy, you know, and it snapped my neck back and it nearly came off at 70 miles an hour. That was the last time. I saw a lady chop an onion in half, pour some honey on it, and eat it raw. So when I did my little prep shop haul video earlier on, I did say eat your veg raw if you can, because it's just going to be so much better for you, you know. Even you see your supermarket veg, it's got virtually no nutrition because of the farming practices that are used. You know, they keep turning the soil over, which, so where I'm growing my veg in the garden, it's a no dig garden, no dig, so that all of the nutrients stay in the ground and they just recycle and recycle and recycle. So those minerals are constantly being provided, you know, the goodness, all of the goodness that goes into that veg that I'm growing you'll taste it because it's a no-dig garden. But yeah, eating anything raw is better for you. It's way better for you, because when you're boiling or steaming or whatever, not so much steaming but boiling, this is why they say eat your veg al dente, semi-raw, just so that you're still getting some goodness out of it. It's amazing for a cold. Makes your tabs laugh though. Yeah, I've never even thought about doing that, and I love onions. I love them. I've planted a load up, and that was about 2 weeks ago. I've seen nothing. I'm glad that I've got started early this year, because I'll be thinking, right, this ain't going to work. So I'll replace those seeds with with something else, and hopefully that'll grow. But I am making a proper start. I want to grow as much as I possibly can. And there's something called, so let me just tell you 2 crops that, apart from garlic, which you can't fail with, two crops that will grow really easy in shit soil, and they don't take much looking after. And they're old school, really, really, really old school. Supposed to cry, but these tears I can't hold inside. Cause you mean that much to me. You could have told yourself that you love someone else. Right, I can't find one of them. This peanut butter, if anyone's ever seen it, it was meant to be about £4.50. I got it for £1.25. Took the top off, poured the fat out, got as much out as I could, put a load of extra virgin olive oil in, mixed it all up. Makes it way, way healthier for you. Right, so 2 crops that, because just please remember, this is predominantly a prepping channel, and we do share information, and you give me ideas and I give you ideas. So just going to touch on this, and then we'll move on to other stuff. So a proper old school, really, really old school turnips. And with turnips, you can keep snapping the leaves off and cooking them like cabbage, and then it will just grow another leaf, and then snap another one, it'll just grow another leaf until the turnip's fully formed, and then you've got turnips. The other one is, I've planted them all up now, so I've not got any to show you, is Welsh onions. So it's a cross between an onion, a leek, and a spring onion. And they were just ridiculously easy to grow. So in that set of shelves where there's 3 sections, and I've put my pink currants in the middle, well, I've topped the other 2 sides up now with topsoil at the bottom, and then loads of compost, and that's Welsh onions, doddle to grow, a doddle. So just try and look at things that are just really, really easy to grow, and especially if you've not got much space because space is time and effort. So if you end up trying to grow something and it just fails on you and you're getting nothing, you've wasted growing time. So try and get as much going as you possibly can indoors, using those little trays where you've got loads of little seed pots, and then you've got like this little plastic see-through thing that goes on the top. Just remember to keep it moist. Moist, I love that word. Oh dear. So I'm just trying different things because I want to try and grow as much as I possibly can, and I'm developing my skills on preserving. And you know, I was when I took the girls for a walk earlier on today, just saw Storm's head lift straight up as soon as I said that word. Even if I spell it out now, she knows what I mean. She's that smart. Right. I've fallen behind again. I saw a lady chop, and oh yeah, I read that bit. Maybe we should do an onion challenge. I'm up for that. My brother will back me up on this. One of my sisters, the one that's just older than Peter, she used to eat them like apples. It was mad. She couldn't get enough of them. I like them sweet and juicy, you know. Whoa. Yeah. Well, when I went to Aldi, Boho Witchy, I've dehydrated. I've probably got about 30 onions dehydrated and vat packed away. Dead easy to reconstitute and put in a stew. Dead easy. But I saw pickled red onion in Aldi today, so I thought, I've got a lot of jars collected up now, and I want to fill them. I've got a lot of mason jars that did contain flour that are now redundant, and I'm saving them for sauerkraut, because this is what they used to do. They used to make sauerkraut, and then that would see them through the winter, you know, along with a few other bits and bobs. Sauerkraut's amazing for you, and it's just something I want to do. I don't know why I've never done it. But I'm also going to be planting up my own cabbages as well. I've gone blurred. There we go. I think there's an autofocus thing on here, and Lana mentioned it. I could do with turning it off, trying to figure out how to turn it off, just so that it doesn't keep doing this. But yeah, someone asked in the comments of one of the videos about why I thought that shop bought organic food isn't all that it says, and it's not. You know, between 80 and 90% of human waste is used to fertilize because it's still considered organic. Used to fertilize organic food and non-organic food, but organic food as well. It's sprayed on them. Now they don't turn around and sift through all of this shit and go, right, that one's all that shit there's been from people that have been jabbed, so it might be full of God knows what. This amount of shit we need to put to one side because it's full of pharmaceutical medication like antidepressants, the contraceptive pill, stuff like that. It goes through you and into the water system, right? They're not going to sort of separate that off from the rest of the shit. And then there'll be, we don't know what diseases this person's had that could be, could affect us. In some ways, this could be worse than herbicides and pesticides, just not as harsh on pollinators. So growing your own stuff, you know exactly what's happening to it. You've started it off as a seed, and you nurture it. Give it some love. So yeah, organic food. This is why I want to grow my own cabbages, so I can make my own sauerkraut from my own cabbages and my own carrots. Can I please wimp out of the onion challenge? Of course you can, Joe. It's not, everyone's free to make their own choices here. But I'd eat it. I love onions. I love them. Oh, good night, Lorna, and thanks for joining us, sweetheart. Always appreciated, and much love. Oh. Yeah, I love it. I love this shit. I do. You see, so even like, so if my house was attacked, so no matter what room I'm in, I've always got something to hand. Always, you know, and everyone should be doing that. So I went out for a change. I went to a place called Gotham or Gotham. It's spelled the same as Gotham City out of Batman. And it's just a little village. But right on the outskirts of this village is on the Greenbelt, is a couple of massive social housing estates going up. And if the sources of information that I've been looking into are correct, 70% of that is going to go to these people, and it's going to change the dynamics of where they live completely. There have been so many sort of Muslim countries, if you like, of which I think it's a 30 odd, something like that, or is it 60 odd? I don't know. I don't care. All I care about is my country, Yeah, it's gonna get very, very, very interesting, because communities have already been destroyed over time, and then you bring in this extra layer of stress, extra layer of culture clashes, extra layer of people that have come over here. A lot of these Muslim countries have clearly stated that you've basically taken in the people that we'd be throwing them in jail right now for what they've done. There's quite a few countries that have said that, so some, very few, very, very few are going to be proper asylum seekers, right? Through threat of death. So kind of very niche elements of Christianity where they've no longer got protection from the leader of that country, like Syria, for example, who are fleeing, because if they don't flee, they're going to get their heads chopped off or shot or worse. And we've taken these people in, and thousands are on the terror watch list. I'm so glad I don't live in a big city anymore. But whenever you start to think, I wonder if they're gonna move in. I wonder if they're gonna start building. Some of you guys are gonna know this. They've got permission. This council permission to grow X amount of houses or whatever, flats or whatever, in this spot, and you'll be thinking that's going to be 70% illegal immigrants, and a lot of them could be dangerous, paedophiles, rapists. We just don't know. So whenever anything like that gets to your head and you start to stress out a little bit, just remember what's happening in Northern Ireland. Communities are coming together that were like trying to put a north and a north magnet together. It's not happening. Something's happened and it's flicked. They've become cohesive, you know? And a community that's united is a strong community. And again, I do think that it's going to be a case of people like us that are going to light the way, you know, we're the torches in the dark. We are, because we can see all this. They can't, you know. So all they believe is what they're hearing on the TV, and they don't know certain stuff because it's not being, you know, it's not being shown to them. Where's Maria? Oh, hello, Maria Spoon. How you doing? It's not just Maria Spoon either. It's Maria Spoon. No, do you know that's something I miss? Spooning. You know, it doesn't always mean lazy sex. You know, just spooning. I miss that. You know, if you're still getting that, if you've still got that, you know, that opportunity to spoon, just spoon, you know, it's lovely. Yeah. Where's my brother gone? Has he gone? So do any of you guys think I should do a live on a Saturday night instead of a Friday night? Because I know a lot of people, because Saturdays, you know, it's like a normal weekday for most people. You can jump in your car and drive into town on a Saturday and it'll be just as busy as a Friday, you know. But at least Sunday, we don't have to keep an eye on the time as much, and people that need to get out and about and get stuff done. People that have to go to work on a Friday night, on a Saturday morning. So I'm just trying to figure out what you guys would prefer, because I'm easy either way, you know. And if I'm going away for the weekend, I'll do one on a Thursday, just so that we can make sure that we stay in touch, because it's important that we do. Little one keeping me on her toes. 18 months. 18 months. Wow. Was it all natural, Boho Witchy? No C-section, all natural, and would have been probably a little bit easier maybe because you knew what to expect from having one already. But then, having said that, you know, if one's like an extra pound in weight, trying to push it out of there makes a lot of difference. I might not be a woman, but I've got, you know, common sense. So if you've got one that was, you know, £6, 2 ounces, and then you've got one that's, your second one's like 11, 12 pound, fuck me, it'll split you in half. And that's another thing about selenium, and something else. Yeah, honestly, isn't it a shame that we can't go to our GP now and just say, right, I would like you to take a blood test and tell me what I'm deficient in, because then you'll know what you need to do from a holistic point of view, a natural way to make up for that, you know, in your diet, and you'll feel different. you'll feel completely different. You'll be thinking that you're on a high, when in actual fact, that's just how you're meant to be. It's because we've been eating so much shit food, and because of where we live, and we've got such a short growing period, it's not good. So it would be nice to ask a doctor. I mean, I don't even know what blood type I am. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but there are obviously several types, but one has more iron, one blood type. So you'd need to eat food like walnuts, so you can get that copper into you and that extra zinc, right? Then you've got one that's got more copper in their blood, so you'd need to eat more like dark greeny leaves, and red meat and stuff to get your iron. And then there's another one, and so one you've got, probably the right amount of iron in your blood, maybe a bit too much, but not enough to affect you. And then another where you've got you'll have iron in your blood anyway, because you can't exist without it. But then you'd have more copper, so you don't need to have food to kind of increase the amount of copper that you've got in your body, right? But there is another blood type that's not rich in iron and not rich in copper. It's rich in gold. Look it up. Mad. Where are we? No, it was emergency. I drove myself there in labour. You drove yourself to the hospital in labour. Cheers. What a fucking woman. Knew something was wrong. Doctor said I saved her. See, instinct. Again, these are instincts that we've got, especially mums, that bond with the child. There's so much that can't be explained through standard science, again, going back to instincts, we're capable of so much, but they don't want to just keep us dumbed down. She was in ICU 2 days and bounced back. I've had 2 emergency sections, 2 emergency C-sections, or as in, this jacket's a bit tight, that wallpaper looks a bit padded, I know, I'm sorry, I'm only joking. I wanted a natural water birth, didn't go to plan. No, he nearly ended up with a fucking car birth, It just reminded me of a Monty Python sketch. I don't know if any of you guys can remember this, where it's every sperm is blah blah, every sperm is blah. Does anyone remember it? They all ended up coming dancing in the streets, choreographed perfectly. But yeah, it was Terry, what's his name, dressed as a woman, and he was stood there in a nightie washing the pots or getting dinner ready, and he just straddled his legs, carried on doing what he was doing, and you could just see the silhouette of a baby fall out, and he just goes, "Get that for me, love, I'm doing the dishes." In fact, that's quite similar to how he sounds, and I'm called Terry. But yeah, I mean, that was a bit rough. You actually see the silhouette of a baby, complete with cord, falling and then hitting the deck. And she just says, "Get that for me." So she's got about 50 fucking kids. So probably Catholic, but then Catholicism. I mean, the Pope is the epitome of absolute evil, So is the Vatican. And then every now and then they turn around and say, or they did do, they've got a different agenda now. Well, probably had that agenda all along, but they just don't give a fuck about it. Who knows about it now. And so, yeah, they used to turn around and as Pope would turn around and say, in Latin or whatever, you know, the world is hungry, you know, we need to do more. When they're sat on trillions of what, probably euros, you know, because it's, you know, it's Italy. Trillions. That would be enough to fix every problem on this planet and eradicate starvation forever. Forever. You know, they've got the wealth, they've got the money. What does that say to you, Catholics? Again, I'm not jumping up and down on people's religions or on their beliefs, but I am pointing out facts here. Our little community is lovely. Yeah, it is, Joanna. Lively, but we all get on okay. There is, however, one fly in the ointment, spooning. Ah, yes. I miss my husband's strong arms, that place I felt safest. Sorry if I butchered that a little bit, Joe. But yeah, I think a woman would feel safe, you know, being sort of gripped lovingly, held, whilst being spooned. It's lovely. It's a lovely position, and it's good for morning sex as well. It's just, yeah, it's good for just cuddling, and it's good for lazy morning sex. And I miss it. I do. Where were we? He will still be around. My mum said she has dreams now and again where she feels my dad hugging her. Very rare, but she said they're wonderful dreams. Yeah, they are. Yeah, I've had a few dreams about Sal, and then woke up. You know, it's just, yeah, it's gutting. But life is, you know, you'll never get strong without suffering. Never. It's not happening. See, warriors aren't born, they're made, forged, you know. And you have to go through a lot of shit and then get through to the other side, preparing yourself to go through more shit until you get the other side of that, and then massive shits, and then try and find your way out of that, come out the other side of that, hopefully mentally intact. You'll always have scars. Those scars will always be there, you know. But in many other ways, it makes you stronger and stronger, to the point where there becomes very little left, really, that you can't deal with in some way or another. And even then, shit can be so impactful that even the tolerance level that you feel like you've built up stands for nothing in the short term. In the long term, you'll get back. You get up quicker, you dust yourself off quicker, you start moving forward quicker, harder, faster. You do. Or you go downhill rapidly, you know. My blood group is A negative, just in case anyone needs any. Been a good blood donor for years back in the day. Yeah, I don't know if I could. Oh. But then I have blood tests, and even now I'm paranoid about blood tests. I'm thinking, what's on the end of that? What's on the end of that needle? You know, we're also paranoid. We've lost, I think all of us have lost almost complete faith now in the medical profession in the country, in the West, really, because of what they've done to us. And yeah, and knowing how it all started with the Rockefeller Institute, and they're just pushing their drugs on us to make vast amount of money. And yeah, so the way we see things now, and the fact that it's just a money making machine, and a lot of these doctors, not all of them, but a lot of these GPs are just twisted up into the system and think they're doing the right thing. Like I said, I must probably about a year ago, maybe a bit longer. You know, they should be asking you about your lifestyle. It's like, how much are you drinking now, Mrs. Smith? A couple of bottles of wine a month. Do you smoke? Yeah, you do, right? How many do you smoke a day? About 5, 10. It's not too bad, but you know, you'd be better off not smoking at all. What's your diet like? What have you been eating? Pizzas, chips. Well, if you can try and get more fruit and vegetables down here, that'll help. We don't get any of that. So because you're not getting any of that anymore, you're not dealing with a healer, you're dealing with a dealer that's making money off the back of pushing medications that have been pushed on them for kickbacks. That is our current NHS. It's all about kickbacks. Hello, Sal Misra. I nearly missed you there, darling. I hope you are doing okay, at a very minimum. Amazing that you see, how long did it take you to find that drop of blood? You see, it takes me, you know, I could start off clean shaven and end up like this by the time I finally found an emoji that I'm after. Yeah, just think about someone that received your blood, you know, and imagine if he was sat there waiting for that transfusion of blood that came from a bottle that you filled up, right? And he was just sat lying there on a hospital bed waiting for this blood to be pumped into his system, right? Whilst he's got his headphones on and he's singing, "Give me hope, Joanna, give me hope, Joanna, give me hope, Joanna, till the morning come." Imagine that. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? To me, life is like a book made up of many chapters. It is. But always remember, because this is something that a lot of preppers fail to do. Me, 100%. But the more aware I'm becoming of it, the less it's likely to be the case, right? Oh, fucking hell. You know, when you get cramp and it goes into spasm, fuck me. What was I saying? Oh man. Yeah, that did my head in. Yeah, right. The past is history. The future is a mystery. The moment is a gift, which is why it's called a present. And I like that. But we do plan for the future because we're preppers. But I think far too many of us spend too much time in the past. A lot of regrets that you can't do anything about. But you can do something about it. And that is to learn from it and just try not to do the same again. Where are we? We got time off work to go, which at the time was my main motivation. We are all hard as rocks and soft as fluff. I'd agree with that, Maria. Yeah, but I think some of the mistakes that some people make is mistaking kindness for weakness, you know, because I do think that most, if not all of you guys are empaths to some degree or another. You know, compassionate, thoughtful, overthinkers from time to time. And but because of that kindness sometimes comes generosity, you know, and even if that generosity is your time, which is the most valuable of all gifts. And yeah, I think some people can sometimes mistake kindness for weakness, and they soon find out that that's not the case, and because they've took the piss, they're out of your life and out of the picture, you know, and it's their loss, because most people can only wish to have friends like us that know what's what, but still have good hearts, you know. I've got a good twat radar, fairly well calibrated. And I read people quite well now. So the chances of anyone, yeah. Let me just go through top up and I'll be right back. Oh. Going to do a really, really quick impression, right? And I want to see who can name who this YouTuber is. So I'll do it really, really quick. First one in gets 10 points. Right, you ready? You ready? Hello, everybody. Anyone? It's always got a really, really unusual. At the end of his videos, it's like, you know, with us, you know, it's kind of. I say ciao for now. It's just a habit now. He says nothing before you know it. The video's ended. That's it. It's a beautiful song, Joanna. Beautiful. And it was only until recently that I played the song on I typed it into YouTube to listen to it, but I said with lyrics so I could sing along to it. And it wasn't until I started reading the lyrics that it's all about corruption. It's all about corruption. And I had no idea. Because like I said before, most people just sing along to the give me hope, Joanna, and that's it. That's they sing along to the chorus. They don't really think about the rest of the song. But it's about corruption. Aimed at someone called Joanna. You're not corrupt, are you, Joanna? You don't come across as corrupt to me. I would rather help someone than hurt them. Yeah, me too. However, I have let some people go in self-preservation. That's self-control, Joanna. It's a good thing, walking away the bigger, better person. Sometimes you just can't. You just can't. Sometimes I just can't. I can't let it go. And maybe that's something I need to work on. I've learned to keep boundaries. Boundaries are important, especially if you're a prepper, because again, I know you've heard me say this 1,000 times before, but it's important that you don't go around just like, I'm a prepper, blah, 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 I'm a prepper, because the first place they're going to come is to you and wipe out, what would have lasted you 6 months or a year is going to last you 3 months to 6 months because of that person. But I do recommend that, if you just having a little bit of general chit chat with someone that you see on a fairly regular basis, just drop something in the what you would call it. Just, did you know that the farmers are on strike, and which is probably going to cause food shortages because if they're not, planting the fields and stuff. And Ukraine, did you know Ukraine was the breadbasket of the whole of Europe? And and the price of this and the price of that, and I've been looking at the price of that, and all of these prices are going to go skyrocketing. So I recommend, and then maybe just end it with something like, imagine if all of the shops were empty tomorrow and there was something worse than COVID, something they're going to be able to relate to. I still don't believe that ever existed, but a lot of these people still do. So you just turn around and say, imagine if COVID happened again, and we can't get hold of toilet rolls. We can't get hold of female hygiene products. We can't get any food, So why don't you just stock up? Well, like I said, I've told my neighbour next door, I said, stock up on food. He said, we've always got plenty in. And I was wondering, have you? I did doubt it. But what's made me convinced that he's not entirely telling the truth is I was down the bottom of the garden doing a little bit of planting up. And where a tree used to be, I've now got the big greenhouse, and I'm going to put all my smokeless coal in there and then start utilising these greenhouses down this end, which is currently just full to the hilt of coal, smokeless coal. So there was this gap, and I was busy doing what I was doing, and I had my headphones on. I was listening to a bit of drum and bass, and I could see him out the corner of my eye, but I wasn't in the mood for chit chat, And then he went, Terry, and I couldn't ignore him. Then I was like, "Oh, hey up, mate!" Like I'd not seen him out of my peripheral. Again, this is something that we've got that not a lot of people have got. A peripheral. We see way more than a lot of people because they're blinkered. And he just happened to say, "Yeah, we're hoping to go off grid at some point." And I just said, "What, here in your house?" He went, "Yeah." And that was the moment where I thought, you're full of shit. You're absolutely full of shit, because your entire back garden, I mean, you've seen his back garden is the same length as mine, and I've tried to do as best I can. and maximize what I can grow in the spaces that I've got. And people are thinking, it's a massive garden, that you can grow loads more in there. It's nearly all slabs. Even that green bit, that's fake grass. It's nearly all slabs, and it's about that deep. It's almost impossible. So I've got to make the most of what I've actually got. Now next door, it's just completely slabbed. You've got a few weeds that are coming up through tiny little spaces, little tiny gaps, but that's it. Apart from a fully matured silver birch tree in his garden that they've made like a feature out of with pebbles and stuff like that. That's quite good. Other than that, it's completely devoid of life. Unless they were to grow loads of stuff in pots, but then what happens if they run out of water? You know, I've got 800 litres of rainwater catchment system. You know, it's not ideal because of the sort of roof that it's on, but it's better than nothing. I can still keep my plants going. So the fact that he said, "Oh, we've always got plenty of food in," I'm thinking, yeah, you're probably thinking a week because you've got 2 kids, you and your missus, and a dog. So there's no way that they're going to be able to. He's probably got a week. Yeah, probably got a week in tops, right? And so I've you know, there was a bit of a bullshit alert went off in my head. So now he would probably, in an SHTF sort of scenario, which is coming, right? He's going to be saying, have you got any food? And I'll just say, I did say to you, Kev, well, I shouldn't name names. I did warn you last year to top up on your food, stock up on your food. So that's going to kind of lead you down 2 directions, right? You're either going to go down lane 1, which is where, nah, fuck you. You had plenty of warning. I told you a year ago, you've had a year just to stack stuff up in your garage at the bottom of your garden. A year. And you've done fuck all, nothing, right? Or you're gonna see him as an asset, especially if that turns into some sort of barracks down the road. Because I know he boxes. I know his son does martial arts. So they could be usable assets, you know? So I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, but I'm sure you've all got neighbours, or some of you have got neighbours where you've been in a similar situation. You've maybe dropped a few hints. I mean, I've spoken to a few people that claim to be awake, claim to be aware, and I've said, do you prep? Do you know what? Do you prepare? Like stockpile food, water, emergency supplies, medications, first aid, home security? No, right? And I can't get my head around that, because if they're aware of this, that, and that, then it surely, you know, you'd make some sort of connections there and sit there. And like I said, my first prep book, it was June 2019. I had no idea any of this shit was coming, you know? So maybe some people are just not what they seem and relatively unreachable. But on the flip side of that, I'm still saying, draw your family in close. Try and work things through if you've fallen out over God knows what over the last 5 years. You know, tensions are running high. You know, I'm seeing bad examples, really poor examples of mental health almost on a daily basis now. You know, the cracks are showing in society. The fuse has been lit. So prepping, it's got to be discreet. You've got to be discreet. You know, there's been a couple of people that I've met maybe 3.5 years ago, something like that. I was in a bit of a dark place anyway at that time, and just got chatting with some people down by the canal. And then I even talked about certain aspects of my driveway that made it quite distinctive. But I was like 3.5 years ago. They won't remember. They won't remember. And even if they do, I've got stories to put through the door, not opening the door, through the door. You know, just sound upset and just say, "I just had to eat my cat." Yeah. Hold your fort. Let most of the leg work, a lot of the leg work, be done by those who didn't prepare. Order out of chaos. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense to someone. I have a very good voice, Sal Mishra. Yeah, some people have said that when I talk, they listen to me to go to sleep. I used to think he was singing "Get Me Up, Joanna." Oh, you dirty bitch, Boa Ritchie. Do you kiss your mum with those lips? Actually, I prefer your version. Get me up, Joanna, get me up, Joanna, get me up, Joanna, so I don't have to take the blue pill. Yeah, Maria. Yeah, same here. Because I think if you're with someone and you're feeling alone, I think that's even worse than being on your own and alone. And again, it doesn't matter what it takes. If you've tried everything and it's still not working, split. Find happiness. Life, you only get one fucking run up at this, one shot. Find happiness. I could be corrupted in the right circumstances. I bet you could, Joe. I know there's a naughty side to you. Like I think I said in a previous live stream, probably like 3 or 4 live streams back, that we've properly turned you into a right fucking God knows what. When I think you were quite virtuous, you know, and endearing. And now we've turned you into Satan's whore, and I do apologise. I do. I still find it funny that people panicked over the toilet rolls. Well, I didn't. And I think one of the reasons is I'm not sure if it was the last post in the posts section or one of the videos. You might have to go back and check. But I was subscribed. I think I still am. I just don't. You know, the algorithms keep pushing you stuff that's relative and relatable to the stuff that you've been searching for. You know, so the algorithms keep sending you more and more of the same stuff. So I've not unsubscribed to her, but I've not seen a notification from her for God knows how long. And she did a video on female hygiene, and you can make your own reusable ones. You know, let me see if I can find it, just so that I can remember what the name of the channel is, because it's a lovely channel and she's so fucking knowledgeable. You know, I mean, you look at Survival Lily now. She's a proper survivalist. You know, she did was it Naked and Alone? I mean, you've got fuck all. You know, you've got to make a shelter. You've got to get a fire going. You've got to find water. You know, she's a good prepper. See, mind of its own again. It's doing it again. If it carries on doing it, yeah, look. Hold on. Right, stop now. Fucking bugging me off. Right. Let me just see if I can find that. Just so I can name the channel, so you can go over and check her out. This was when I'd not long been doing this, so I've kind of settled into it now. But I wasn't sure if I needed permission to share someone else's videos, you know. So I contacted her and she said, yeah, absolutely no problem. But then her money's her hold on. Right. It should say in here. Yeah. Right. So because I've looked at, you know, what sort of age the average viewer is, and the percentage of women versus men and blah, 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 but the age. So I know that there are a lot of women that are either going through the menopause now or are coming through it, you know, got through it, getting through it. And it's easier for some than others. But you are going to have daughters, nieces, you know, kids of your neighbours or whatever, that at some point might not be able to get hold of sanitary towels and tampons, you know. So I ended up contacting this lady. You might have even heard of her, but I contacted her and I said, "Is it okay if I use your post your video on my channel?" And she said, "Yeah, no problem." And it's going mad again now. The channel is called Rain Country. And that's her there. And she's so knowledgeable about prepping, because it is a prepping channel. You know, she grows all her own herbs. Why is it Americans don't pronounce the H when they're saying herbs? They call it herbs. But anyway, yeah. So she, you know, she's showing there. Look. So just out of old clothes and stuff like that, and she puts creases in certain areas so that it kind of, well, you know how it works, you know, just so it fits up into a crease so it absorbs the most amount of blood, and they're reusable. So it's called Rain Country, and title of the video, because honestly, you are going to run out of tampons, you are going to run out of sanitary towels. We are going to have to find new ways. I mean, they reckon that, like, say 10,000 years ago or whatever, they were using dried grass and stuff like that. But we don't need to be. It doesn't need to be that hard for you now. So the channel's called Rain Country. Rain as in rain, and then country as in our country. And the title is Make Your Own Reusable Feminine Napkins. She says napkins, not fanny pads. And it's a really, really useful video. I mean, as blokes, we don't need to worry about stuff like that, you know. That's not to say that we don't go through our own, you know. So women have menopause, men midlife crisis. However, so you get shallow fuck blokes out there that are going through the male menopause, the midlife crisis, and they'll you know, kind of tap into the value of the house or take a chunk of their pension or whatever and go out and buy a sports car, thinking that'll make it all right. Oh, you'll never find happiness the more stuff you buy, you know. You'll never find true happiness. I think some of the happiest people on the planet are the ones that have got fuck all, you know. And again, if you're pre or post menopausal, please have a listen to that, you know, that's what I was saying about, was it the pumpkin seeds? I think it was the pumpkin seeds. But again, sage as well, that'll help. But the avoidance of osteoporosis, when you've had a couple of kids, it can draw, you know, if your child's growing and your diet isn't calcium rich enough, or not this rich or rich in that or rich in that, your baby will draw it from your body, you know. I feel like I mean, what does he know? He's a bloke. What does he know about childbirth? I might not father the child, but I do know a few bits and bobs. So just avoiding stuff like osteoporosis and stuff, you know, and those white pills that I've made, that I've formulated, it's got calcium carbonate, which is eggshells. That's 50%, all from organic eggs. 10% organic sage. So what I'm telling you now is perfect for pre or post menopausal women, right? So yeah, 10% organic sage, and that's in most holistic pre and post menopausal treatments that you can take. Magnesium glycinate, magnesium malate, magnesium citrate, 10% of each one of them. This is all in those little capsules. And 10% organic whole egg powder as well. And they're probably the most expensive to make, because I've got to buy in good quality supplements that have got all three of those magnesiums in. And then I've got to go through a shitload of organic eggs to get the shells. Everything else I'm covered for. Dead chuffed. Michael got in touch with me and showed me his lion's mane crop. I was buzzing off that. You know, whenever any of you guys say, "Oh, off the back of you mentioning that, I've gone and done this and now I'm doing that. Do you do this differently to me?" And I'll be thinking, and I'll learn something off one of you guys that's tried something different based on you buying something that I've recommended. So I'm learning from you, you're learning from me. You know, it's brilliant. But yeah, homemade supplements. So someone asked me earlier on, where'd you get the little device from where you can make 100 at a time? And I've had a look on eBay now and they've disappeared. They've gone. So, and they were about £12-ish delivered. It was a game changer. So I'm glad I bought it when I did. But keep an eye out for it. Keep an eye out for them, you know. I did go on to I clicked on buy similar, and then what came up in the list wasn't there. So, and I couldn't put a link from eBay into the comment section because I've not checked this, but I've got no reason to doubt it. That Google has bought out Amazon, or has some sort of affiliated link. So if you put a link into the comment section or into the post section that's a direct link to eBay, it'll just be removed, you know. So have a look on Amazon, see if you can find one on there. And honestly, I highly recommend it. And then when you start to look into stuff that is ridiculously good for you, right? And if you've got especially if you've got the ability to dehydrate your stuff, you know, you can make these incredible supplements, incredible, which is what I'm doing. Right, let me go up a little bit. I fell behind a little bit. Yeah, well behind. Right, let me get through some of this, and I'll move back down again. Grow whatever you can, lovely people. I use pots and tubs and hanging baskets, plus lots of herbs, which have medicinal use too. Yeah, but honestly, if it's safe for you to do so, please develop your foraging skills, you know, because at least that way you're complementing your garden. You're not demanding too much from your garden because you're foraging, you know, and it's all, you know, you've got dead nettles, you've got there's all sorts of stuff out there, you know, that's really, really good for you, ridiculously good for you. So please practice on your foraging, because it could save your life one day, you know. And then you pass that information on to people, and you become, like, you know, one of the wise people of the tribe, if you like. And people will be asking you questions, and, you know, just develop your knowledge. You know, think outside the box. Yeah, I've got chives, but the plant's not very healthy. The last time I picked a load, they were quite fibrous, a bit chewy. They're not meant to be like that. But mint, yeah, I had to invest in another mint plant because the old one had just given up the ghost. So I have got mint. I do love mint. I love a mojito, you know. Sal used to make the most amazing mojitos. She'd do it as traditionally as possible, you know. And yeah, oh, I love it. I love that. Mojitos and Long Island iced tea, my two favorite cocktails. Yeah, you see, this is Boho Richie. This is one of the reasons why I do feel quite glad, you know, that I've got a solar generator, because I can charge that up from all of my solar panels, and loads of cable that I bought, and an inverter that I bought, and a pure sine wave solar controller that I've bought, so I can keep that topped up and run my fridge off it all night long, you know, if I've got no power. because that would be a hell of a lot of food to waste, a lot of money's worth. I'm a meat eater, you know, but I've done the vegetarian thing. Where are we? I grow rosemary, sage, thyme, mint, lemon, mint, oregano. Perfect. Herbs are very forgiving, and mine seem to thrive with cutting. Cutting them back is essential because it just encourages new growth. Mint comes in lots of varieties. Good to use the both though. The both. Yeah, I'm gonna get a spearmint as well. Mint comes in. Where are we? Fled to the hills, as you mentioned, eating them. Oh, sorry about your little pussy there, Joanna. Didn't mean to make it growl. Peppermint and garlic. Yeah, exactly. Deters lots of insects and rodents in the garden. But you see, one of the problems that we've got now is that we need to be encouraging as many insects to the garden as possible, you know, as many as possible, because it's all part of an ecosystem that most gardens have completely lost now. And it's only found in, you know, proper green spaces and the countryside. But cabbage is one of the things that I've refused to grow for so many years because we get cabbage whites. And once they've laid a few eggs on there, those caterpillars will just demolish the lot. But I want to try and grow my own cabbage so that I can make my own sauerkraut, because that is just so good for you, unbelievably good for you, good for good health, good gut health, because of all the enzymes that are in there. It's so healthy, and it's raw veg, you know. Again, eat it raw. Right, so I need to go down a little bit. Oh, Joanna, the history of menstruation and how women dealt with it is interesting. The important thing to remember is that the blood needs to flow. Absolutely, it does. Yeah. Otherwise, you'll never get pregnant. Thanks, Maria. I'll have to plant some peppermint around my crops. I've planted marigolds, and yeah, try and get as many pollinators in your garden as possible. Flowering plants. You know, don't just focus entirely on. But then you can grow. You know, look at nasturtiums. You can eat the leaves, the flowers, and the bees love them. Honeysuckle, that's a cracker. Around my carrot and spring onions to deter pests. I keep all my old pairs of glasses. Can't imagine being able to see if they got broken. Yeah, that was one of the first things I prepped for. Food and glasses. Where are we? Glasses Direct are quite reasonable for glasses prices to get a spare in, although principles change, don't they? So difficult. Yeah, I'm with you there. Hello, Tony. How's it going over there in Ireland? I know someone from Enniscorthy. Is that far from where you live? Enniscorthy. Ivor Cummins. I don't know what your guys' view is on Ivor Cummins, but he's going over to Enniscorthy, which is a relatively small town in Ireland. But he's going to be over there. I didn't know if you knew that, Lynch, Tony. Anything else? Yeah. They are old prescription, but better than nothing. Exactly. If you try and stick to it as much as you possibly can, Sal Mishra, because the stronger the glasses, the less effort you put in your eyes into, putting your eyes to work. because they are, well, they're muscles, aren't they? You know, but there are so many different things you can do. If you just give it 20 minutes a day without glasses, you know, there's loads of videos on it. But just remember, you know, they're not really bothered about correcting your eyes or trying to reverse any damage or reverse any problems that you've got. It's all about your eyes are slightly worse than they were. Here's a prescription to get some more from us. I have hysterectomy at 44 and now starting with osteoarthritis. It's not nice as I've always kept fit. Right, Sal Misra. Why don't you try a few of those things just the natural way? If you read the Prep Food Haul from Aldi video back, I don't know what the timestamp is. Have a look at that, because I think it was pumpkin seeds, and so I think zinc plays a big part in bone density. And then, you know, like I said, I've just read this out to you. You know, this is, I don't know where that's gone, but I read out all the percentage of everything that was in these little white capsules that I've made, and they're outstanding. I've given my dad a month's supply because it's all of a sudden it's getting to the point where it's kind of, you know, he's starting to lose teeth. And I just said, Dad, you know, 3 sugars in a fucking cup of tea, it's excessive. He said, I know. He says, but I've solved that problem. Again, you know, the naivety. I've solved that problem. I use half spoon. I use half spoon now. So it's only half the sugar. And I've just gone, Dad, have you any idea what the other half is? I would rather have 3 sugars. So I sent him some information, and he's got the attention span of a gnat. So, but you know, you can only do your bit. Just remember that you can only do your bit. But yeah, Sal Misra, if you want, email me. You know, email me, and I'll kind of put some ideas for you forward so that can maybe even reverse that, you know. Where are we? Oh, that shot up quick. You dirty bastard. Where are we? Okay. Old tea bags and seaweeds, great for growing anything. Yeah, well, I've got some allegedly seaweed traces in the compost that I bought today from Aldi. And tea bags, yeah, I split them open and I put them around my runner beans. I mean, they are really taking off, you know. So by the time May comes around, it's going to be like a bastard forest in there, bushwhacking myself, try and get to the kettle so I can have my brew. A friend of mine asked me for a remedy for eczema on her baby. I told her oats in the bath or make it into oat milk. She said, no, a cream I can buy. So I paid £11 for Aveeno oat-based cream. Has it worked, Bo Witchy? Always go for a natural alternative if you can, always. And just remember that most people aren't like you, and they're twisted up into the system, and they could read a book like the Green Pharmacy and think, oh, that's impossible, that is. How can you have that without having medication to fix it, you know? Everyone's been programmed. People have a mentality that they need to buy it for it to work. Yeah. Which is why I'll give people a couple of weeks worth for free. And then if they feel the benefits from it, then we come up with some sort of exchange. Because you can't sell stuff like that without a license, so I won't be selling it. When I was growing up on the farm, we used to set cabbages. It turns the soil fabulous. I didn't know that. In a bad ground, it turns to the best soil you ever had. But there are 1,000 ways of doing that now, though, brother. 1,000 ways, just for stuff we can pick up when we're out and about. Nettles, you let them ferment in water for a couple of months, and then just take a bit out, and then dilute it, so it's like 70%, 80% water, and the rest is just concentrated nettle jizz. Nettle fertilizer. I don't know why I said that. The bag of tea comes as yes, it does. There used to be paper, but they are all plastic now, which is sad. I mean, this flat cap. It's not that one. Oh, it doesn't matter. I've got a. Oh, here it is. This hat here. Apart from the ribbon, it's made from 100% paper. But I don't know what it's been coated in, you don't want it kind of like all hanging off your face when it's been pissing it down with rain. Where are we? Lay in bed with a brew listening and can hear an owl outside. An owl in a tree. Very wise. Yeah. But again, they've hijacked that as well, haven't they? The Masons. The bag, where is it? Enniscorthy is in Wexford, about 130 miles up from me. Oh, so you live south then, right? I live on the west coast of Ireland, County Mayo. Ah, right, okay. Some do, Maria. You're right. I used to your safe, yeah. I do think it makes a difference what tea you're using, but then they're heavily sprayed crops as well. This is why I'd love to have a chamomile lawn. I just drink nothing but chamomile, but I need to know where it's come from. Where are we? From Lincoln originally. Do you know what? My dad paid for someone to trace our family tree back, and nearly all of our family is from around Lincolnshire. And when the shit hits the fan, if the farmers are still doing what they do and farm, getting out there, it's all so flat, and you're just driving down these like little country lanes, and to the left hand side you've got like massive Brussels sprouts like growing. On the right hand side you'll have like corn or whatever. There's just different crops being grown all over the place. You could fill your fridge up, you know. You could fill your cellar up if you've got a cellar where everything is kept clean, kept cool. You could go on a proper shopping spree, but I'm not advising that, because that would be theft, now wouldn't it? Beans and potatoes like being next to each other. Well, I'm growing runner beans out of my wardrobe. To anyone new, it's an old wardrobe that I took the back off, put it out there, reinforced it. It needs reinforcing again, and I just put loads of spuds in there, and then put loads of soil in there, just kept topping it up. And now I've not needed to plant any more potatoes in there, but I might put another bean tripod up in there on the other side that gets more sun. Yeah, I love the night, Boho Witchy. I love the night. It's like I've got the entire world all to myself. You know, I am a night owl. I bet that cabbage is beautiful. I can eat it raw or cooked. Lovely. It's good for you. Love a Savoy. My favourite cabbage. And I was put off for about 20 years of eating another one, even though it was my favourite cabbage. Full of iron. Really, really, really good for you. Full of antioxidants, provided it's not from something that's been had the life sprayed out of it, because that just defeats the purpose. But yeah, I was tucking into a full Sunday roast dinner when I was about 14, something like that, and found half a caterpillar. So, and my plate was nearly empty. So I didn't eat another Savoy for about 25 years. No, longer. Where were you over the weekend, Terry? Thank you. I'm 54 now, so had my hysterectomy 10 years ago. Yeah. So when a woman, you know, I'm talking to everyone else here, Sal Mishra, but I think you'll know. Let me know if I'm wrong. That when you have a hysterectomy, it sends the change, the menopause, into hyperdrive. I didn't realise you've gone to bed, Sal Mishra. Sweet dreams, lass. Sweet dreams. And yeah, please email me and we'll see if we can come up with something. You know, we like to find solutions. I hope you're all doing well. Yeah, much love. Where were we? Lots of John Lewis Stemple books. I love this writing. He's writing. Oh, I don't know about that. I hope you are doing well. I didn't have a menopause, but I can sympathise with many friends who suffered. Yeah, some people get away with it. Piece of piss. Sweet dreams, Sal Mishra. Call me. That's how they do it these days. Nah, just email me, sweetheart. We'll get you fixed up. We'll get you sorted. Might not happen overnight, but you know, we'll get you on track. Solutions. And you know what? I do watch a lot of. I am subscribed to a few channels where it just shows you ridiculously bad police conduct, and it has made me realise that what we would have considered to have been good cops back in the day, you know, professional, part of the community, Bobby on the beat, people used to know their names, they might know your names or be familiar with you. That's all gone now. A lot of the police were ex-army back then as well. So very well disciplined, knew how to look after themselves, knew how to serve and protect. It's completely different now. It's the opposite of that now, you know. And then there's a massive chunk of them are very, very narcissistic, you know. And oh, is that a mayfly? It's like a mayfly. And yeah, so I mean, I saw one guy getting searched by. So there was actually two male officers present, but and there was a male that was being told that he was going to be searched. Now, the male, this is how fucked up everything is. The male cop wasn't the one who initiated the search. So he was just there to make sure nothing went wrong and to kind of put all of this person's belongings in one place whilst they carried out a thorough search. A search that was completed by a man who thinks he's a woman. So if you think you're a woman, you shouldn't be patting down a man, you know, because they go right up, you know. It's not unusual for them to just catch your cock. It's not unusual at all. They're very thorough, some more than others. So considering this diversity fucking hire, right, wanted to be a woman shouldn't be searching a man, and a man shouldn't really be searching a woman. It should be a female police officer. It should. And the caliber of policing now, it's just gone through the floor. It's gone through the floor. Is that by design? Probably, you know. But because of the lack of wanting to try and build those bridges off the back of what happened in 2020, 2021, 2022, and then the whole two-tier policing kicking in and everyone seeing this blatant bullshit, and they were just following the orders. I've got no time for people that follow the orders. If you're a police officer and you think that because they are trained not to undermine their colleague. If they've got anything to say, wait until afterwards. But I think if someone's kind of not following policy and procedure, or is literally breaking a law on that person's rights, as a good copper, they should say something. A bent copper's biggest threat is a good cop. Well, because they all kind of scratch each other's backs, and you know, we've heard about the sexual abuse that was going on with a young white British girl in the back of a taxi, and a police officer taps on the window, and they're like, "Hey, we're just having some fun," and you could clearly see what was happening. This has all been out; it's all public knowledge. It's all true. And he walked away. He walked away. So this is the caliber of the police that we've got now. You know, so instead of trying to repair that divide between us and them, they're just making it worse and worse and worse, because they're not following their own morals. They're not what morals, what few have got morals. Because again, you take a relatively normal bloke, and relatively normal blokes are a bit naive. Relatively normal blokes aren't alphas. Yeah. So because they are not trying to bridge that gap off the back of the way that people, innocent people, were treated on these marches, you know, during COVID. And again, I think they were might have been on Hyde Park or something like that in London, and they were just having a jamming session. Someone with some drums, some with a guitar, just having a jam. And these police just barged through, and they ended up being fucked off royally. Few police had a few injuries, you know, because it was absolutely uncalled for. So I don't forget any of this shit, right? So as we've moved forward. And then we've seen the whole two-tier policing system, and saying that people of a certain ideology will get half the sentence that a white man will get, you know. So we've seen all the two-tier policing as well. So in my opinion, and it's just an opinion, all these people are doing because of their the way that they work, the way that they operate, the way that they think, the way that they act, the way that they walk around. You know, oh, I'm a cop. Yeah, I'm a cop. Yeah, I'm kind of a big deal. You know, all of this is just painting a bigger and bigger and more vivid and easier to spot target on them. And that's not me threatening them. You know, this is me pointing out it's human nature. This is what'll happen. If you're seen as the enemy when the cookie crumbles and the shit does really hit the fan, or when it does, right? People are going to be pointing fingers, you know? And even during these ridiculous measures that they put in place after COVID, people were being encouraged to grass on their neighbours if they had more than one person round, or, you know? But again, even these COVID fines, everyone that went to court and said not guilty, it was thrown out. It was those, oh no, I better pay it. I better pay it because I don't need the hassle right now. You're fucking weak. Fight. So this is what's happening, you know, with the caliber of the police forces. And again, I don't think they're all like that, but I think the vast majority are. The vast majority, 90%, easy. You know, when you talk to a copper, it should feel like you're talking to me, or talking to a friend, or your sister, or your brother, or your mum, or your dad, or whatever. That's how it should be felt, because they are they're public servants, you know. But then on the flip side to that, they work for the Crown, which is a corporation. Corporations are there to make money, you know. You can literally go onto the police website. I can't remember how to get to it again now, but there is a costing, so you can hire the police to do something else. You can hire police. You can hire them. They're a corporation, you know. You're a living, breathing man and woman. You're not a dead entity. You're not a corporation. So they've actually got no rights. They've got no more rights over you than you have over them. In fact, in theory, you should have more rights than they do. You know? But they're just power-hungry narcissists. I'm telling you, I've always said we can police ourselves, and we can efficiently, very efficiently. Once we've got organised, we can police ourselves, and we'll see proper justice being done. We would, because at the moment there aren't any deterrents. So we've got a country that's got no deterrents, unless you're white, and a police force that's full of egos in fancy dress and ex-bully victims. You know, Yeah, couldn't make this shit up. Where are we? Their knowledge of the law is pitiful. Are you on about the police, Joanna? Because you're right. You know, when you've got citizens that have just been pulled over, and they are turning around to them and saying, "What section have you pulled me over?" And he'll go, "Section blah blah blah," and they go, "No, well, you can't do that because you've got no reason for suspicion. What's your suspicion?" Well, the way you pulled off at the traffic lights, did I exceed 30 miles an hour? No. So what's the fucking problem then? Can I see your license, sir? No. Why is that? And all the time you've got your door of your cars, all of your doors locked. You don't need to exit. Oh, I know so much. I know so much, and I know and then I've researched it, and I know that it's true. You don't believe how much power you've got. This is why one of the most important aspects of this event moving forward is for you to say no and fucking mean it. You know? Really, really mean it. Own yourself. It's really empowering, you know? These people have not got the right to tell you what to do. These people have not got the right to tell you how to live your life. These people have not got the right to stop you traveling. These people have not got the right to tell you not to say this and not to say that. These people have got no rights over you whatsoever. Only you and God. That's it. That's it. So fuck the police. Fuck them. Constitutional law, know your rights, the English Bill of Rights, absolutely, yeah. But what they do is they stick loads of acts, loads of statutes on top of everything else and bury common law. So acts and statutes, it's all, it doesn't really mean much. Because it's just ideas pushed through Parliament. They're not the law because the law is the law of the land, and we've got a lot of protection. We have, but you need to know that you've got a lot of protection. You need to feel it. You need to own yourself, and then lead by example. And you start leading by example, other people will pick up on that strength. Other people will start to do the same. No, fuck it. Yeah, you're right. You know? Like I said, I stopped being told what to do when I fled at 16. That was the end of it. And I've never tolerated it ever since. I've fallen out with so many bosses and managers, and you know, but I've always been right in what I've said. So they never sacked me. They were just hotheads that wouldn't listen to reason initially. Yeah. Hello, Lisa. Lisa's in the house. Now, Lisa doesn't live far from Wexford. Now, we were talking about it earlier on. She lives just around the corner, but I don't think she's a fan. Well, I mean, I'm talking about her while she's here. I don't think she's a fan of Ivor Cummins. Now, I'm still making my mind up on him, but he is still playing a key part in waking people up. And he does, yeah, and he has some interesting guests on as well. But I hope you're doing okay, Lisa. I hope you're doing okay. Applies to Wales and Northern Ireland. constitutional law only applies to Wales and Northern Ireland. What the fuck? The full English show on Rumble. Well, you know me, I like to get little heads ups and leads. So just bear with me a sec whilst I just write that one down. What was it again? The full English show on Rumble. I'll check that out. I do like Rumble, but I've got to admit, you know, a lot of there is a lot. It's not completely devoid of it. I'm talking about X. It's not devoid whatsoever, but there is a lot more freedom there. But again, being aware is half the battle. It's most of the battle. So my predictions of what X is going to transform into, you know, we shall see. But yeah, it is good. You know, if you're not kind of following me over there, I don't like the word follow. I don't like that, but I don't know what other word to use. But if you want to come over onto X and have a look at some of the stuff I'm posting, and then it will show you related stuff as well. And it's very eye-opening, very. And it's not really until you've kind of come off, not permanently come off YouTube, but you thought, I wonder what it's saying on X about this. And then you type it in and just have a look at loads of different posts and columns and articles and stuff like that. And it's all verifiable, you know, but it's a lot of it is stuff that you just cannot and will not see on YouTube. And we're all experiencing a ridiculous amount of censorship, you know. I'll put a comment in and it's just like I've gone to put like a stone into a little box, but I've not noticed that the box has got no bottom, and then the earth underneath it is about 4 billion miles long. You know, it goes nowhere. I used to care for an ex-sergeant, and my second visit, he gets out this briefcase of gold jewelry saying, "I'm a Freemason. Do you know what that means?" Full of narcissists. Yeah, they are. Yeah. Look, most people who get to a certain level in society, and it's not always financial, it's always about power. Now, most people that get that power, they get it because they want it, you know, like the fucking ring to Gollum, or you know how evil that ring is. It's very, very similar to that within Freemasonry and our political sphere, the current one. You know, people only get to positions like that because they don't mind standing on the kind of the broken bones and the broken jaw and the broken nose and the broken shoulder and the broken skull, just to climb up, move you out of the way. You know, proper narcissists. You are all to blame, and I'm good. I'm a good man. You are to blame. You know. Also, Boho, which you bear in mind, he's an ex-sergeant, so he would have ended up, starting off as a private, working his way up to a sergeant just from being a cunt, Showed me them, but I don't think all old school men of that rank are bastards. Not old school ones. They've done a lot of shit, they've seen a lot of shit, and it's humbled them. /PTSD. Showed me them things he worse on ish. Right, let me just read that again, Boho, which is it's a grammatical nightmare. Showed me them things he wears. Oh, you mean wears on his shoulders? What, like the epaulets? Very arrogant. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Look, right. I've always said let's look out for our elderly, because they were and are our original Google. Lots of life experience, lots of knowledge that can be shared, lots and lots of information that could enhance us. Yeah. Do you know what that's just made me think of? The fucking royal family. When on Remembrance Day, and you'd have the Queen, and going back even further, you'd have the Queen, Prince Philip. I don't like calling him a prince. Philip. Let's just stick with Philip. So you had the Queen. Well, you had Elizabeth, because none of them are actually. None of them are what you think, and I know that doesn't apply to everyone. So you would have Elizabeth, Philip, Charles, Anne, Andrew, and all the rest of their ilk, right? And all of the men are stood there, right, in full dress uniform, out of respect. Shitloads of medals across their chest. What the fuck has Charles done? What the fuck has Andrew done? And then I saw, what's the ginger little bastard called? Harry, is it? And then they did this photo, this photo opportunity, this publicity stunt, where it was like, right, my chopper, we've been called into combat, and my chopper's ready, and I'm the pilot, and then at that exact moment, he's running off to a helicopter, and then it cuts out. What a load of fucking bollocks. I've always hated the royal family. That will never ever change. Again, we need to be building up a defense against parasites. The only difference between the parasites that are in our body and them is that they are not in our body. That's it. That's the only difference. Prince Charles is the biggest landlord in the UK. He's got all of these. And then remember that the police work for the Crown Corporation. So corporations are there to make money. So he's making money out of all of the properties that he owns back in rent. He's making all of the profits made from people being in prison, and there's a lot of profit there. He's making a lot of money out of you. The list goes on. When you really think about it, the list goes on and on and on. And then, so when you've got the police out and about with the little speed cameras, oh, He just did 33.5 miles an hour in a 30 zone. You've got it coming. Have I? I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. You know? Waiting for you already, Eddie. So it seems that the police don't turn up to people that need their assistance, right? Yes, we can get someone over to you within the next 4 years. Yes, maybe 3. Does that sound better? Okay. Yeah, they are, they get kickbacks from big supermarkets to be there like that. One corporation looking after another because someone's nicked a fucking steak. Whereas Hilda across the road has just experienced an aggravated burglary, the worst kind of burglary, where you're awake and you can fucking hear them moving around. We can't make it to you today. Don't touch anything. We need prints, And she's just sat there feeling like her home's been violated. And these speed cameras, that's 3 points on your license. And then your insurance policy goes up. Charles has got a massive connection to the insurance companies. And then the £100 fine that you get charged with those 3 points goes to the Crown to the Crown Corporation. It's a business. You are just there for them to make lots and lots of money. That's it. Unless you fight back, which is what I'm doing. What I'm doing. I'll let you know how I progress. I can't really say too much more than that. But yeah, you'll get to a point where you think, oh, I've fucking had enough now. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. I've had enough. Take that, shove it up your arse. Any bailiffs turn up on my property, it'll be their worst nightmare. It will. So, it's about how much you're prepared to take. But I'm not a fan on parasites, aka the royal family, and I'm even I hate as much their henchmen. They're tit-head pig henchmen. That's all they are. That's all they are. Under Charles. But then, who's above Charles? How many times have you seen someone poke Charles in the chest, telling him what to do? And he's just sat there like a little schoolboy that's been told he's going to have to do 500 lines after class. And I don't mean the lines that we used to have to do, The Rothschilds. And then there are some photos of one of the Rothschilds in particular laughing and looking down. And I know we said the same thing about Harry and, one of Diana's possible flings and, maybe. But then I think a lot of blonde people, Diana was blonde. Now, blonde is just, in some ways, it's kind of, it's a pigmentation. So you are on the spectrum of redheadedness. If you take brown and blonde, you can end up with some sort of redheadedness, which is what he's ended up with. But yeah, Charles, and one of the Rothschilds, it's almost unmistakable. This is what I'm saying, that they want to keep their family bloodlines going. They've got to keep their family bloodlines going, no matter what. I listen to H.G. Tudor to learn about narcissism. Do you know what, Joanna? The best way to learn about narcissism is get a rough gist of what narcissism is and then go out and witness it, you know, because it's rife right now. There's plenty of it. And just study them out the corner of your eye. Summer's coming up. Get some mirrored sunglasses. Do some people watching. It's very interesting. And you'll clock the narcissists because they stand out. You know, I do believe in the whole aura thing. I do. I don't think it's necessarily a visible thing. You know, I don't look at someone and go, oh my God. It's like you're encased in a purple sphere of mist. I don't fucking do that. You sense it, you know? You just sense it on people. And yeah. Are you still there, Lisa? Everyone's dropping off now. Have I started talking bollocks? You know, some people on live streams, they talk for a while, and I quite like the model of this. They talk for a while, and then they try and get, you know, the people in the chat to ask questions. You know, I would love for you to ask me some questions. I'd love that. I really would. You know, because it'll keep me on my toes. And if I can help, I will. But ask me an opinion. Just ask me an opinion on anything you want. Anything. You know, if I don't know the answer, I'll still have an opinion, and it'll be an educated one. I promise. So ask me away. Ask away. Just ask me some questions. I live opposite a narcissist. He makes me laugh, quite honestly. Well, I mean, if you're getting something, see, you're taking something negative and turning it into a positive, which is, you know, that's a skill that not a lot of people have got. You know, I can do it, but I can also take a positive and turn it into a negative too. What year did you start prepping, Terry, and what made you do it? Boho Witchy, you might relate to this. I started prepping in June 2019, and I had no idea why I was doing it, but I knew that I needed to do it. That box is still at the caravan because I was also thinking about bugging out, even though I didn't know what I'd be bugging out against. There was no mention of COVID, no mention. I just knew something was coming. So I did my first prep bucket. I've gotten better at it. It's just like you do with anything else. You know, practice makes perfect. I'm a lot more organised now. You know, I know what I'm doing now. But back then, I'd never put a fucking prep bucket together. You know, with shelf-stable food that just required water and a bit of cooking. I'd never done anything like that in my life. But I was compelled to put that tub together. I'll show you when I go back to the caravan, but then there'll be people that saying, yeah, well, you could have just you could have brought that from home and just put a sticker on there and put June 2019 on there. But I can assure you that is a genuine tub, genuine. And then about 2 weeks before, and I started building on that. And then about 10 days, probably about 10 days before COVID was, before we were all furloughed, I worked in a place. Right, so I did have to sign a non-disclosure for this place because I was making the headrests for state-of-the-art fighter jets. Now, in this room, you've got to go through 2 other rooms to get into this room because it's completely controlled. It's controlled by how many particulates can get in the air, the temperature, everything's taken into account. State-of-the-art HEPA, is it HEPA filter systems? State-of-the-art, one of them in there as well. So it's taking all of the dirty air and bringing in fresh, clean, pure air. And I was working in there. There was only a small group of us because we worked for a specific. We were subcontracted for a specific company that provided not just the UK but other European countries with fighter jet equipment. And I was stood there, and I was just cracking on, getting the job done, and this girl started talking to me. What was her name? Fucking names. So anyway, she was just talking to me, and I was listening to her, and then responding, and then she was talking to me, and then all of a sudden, I just cut the conversation dead, and just said something really, really, really bad is going to happen, just out of the blue. I just knew something was coming. So, but at the time, I didn't make that connection between that moment and the fact that I'd put, quite a few months before, put a prep tub together. I never made the correlation. So that was when I first started prepping. And the why, that's a fucking long answer you're going to get, but I'll try and condense it down. I suddenly realized that what if there were food shortages? And then what if there were fuel shortages? And then what if there blah, 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 blah. And I had all of these thoughts and all of these epiphanies, and everything just came together in my head. And I think one of the final straws for me was the fact that I wasn't seeing anyone ill, no one. And statistically, I should have, and so the first prep bucket to that sort of just cut off conversation and saying just knowing something bad was coming, just out of nowhere, to here, to this, to now, part of a movement. And then there were loads of added things in there. I was trying to think long term for Sally in case she pulled through. And yeah. Right, where are we? Where are we? Spot on about the police there, Barrow Richie. Spot on. I live opposite a narcissist. Makes me, yeah. Like I said, just be entertained by him. Let yourself be entertained by him and not irritated by him, because allowing yourself to be entertained is positive. The more positive you are, the more positive you feel, the healthier physically you'll be. And that is a scientific fact. Hello, Ray, you're all right. Good to see you. Good to see you. I have asked you for advice and you have helped me. Well, my email's there. You know, that's what it's there for. You know, every now and then I'll get a comment saying, you said this. Sort of, how do I know it's true? What's your source? You know, to prove that what you're saying is right, and blah blah blah. I do like to encourage people to do their own due diligence and their own research. I really do, because again, we learn at different styles in different ways, and there's very little now, to be fair, prep wise, that I can show you that you can't find in 1,000 other places on YouTube now. But someone asked me about, because I did a little short, I pulled a carrot out of like a gravelly bit. I know some of you will have seen it. I've just pulled a carrot out and saying, even this, even though it might be soaked in dog piss, is still healthier than most of the organic food that you'll buy from a shop and some farm shops. You know, how do you know they're telling the truth? So I did say to this lady, and she'll probably watch this live stream back, it wasn't meant to be offensive. It wasn't meant to be offensive at all. I was just saying that I prefer people. She's drinking again. I know you can hear it, and I've got the actual noise cancelling bit on as well, so it's meant to block everything out, but I can still hear it. And it just goes on forever and ever and ever. It's just relentless. Let me focus. So I did say, you know, I encourage everyone to do their own research off the back of stuff that I post. I said, but I'll throw one at you just to get you going, right? And it was something I've just mentioned at the start of this live stream, was the fact that they're using human slurry to fertilize the crops, both non-organic and organic, right? So in with this liquefied human shit that they're spraying over everything, organic, because it's still organic. This is what I'm saying. They use a lot of loose terms just to get through, right? So I mentioned about human waste, you know, and that human waste is going to be from people that have been jabbed, people that have got some diseases. There'll be trace medications in there, like antidepressants and birth control, to name just a few, right? The list kind of goes on. You know, what diseases did they have? It's all the same. It's all mixed into that slurry that's being sprayed over or onto the ground before they sow. you know, and that gets soaked up into the vegetables and gets soaked up into the fruit. So when I said that that carrot that might be piss soaked by the girls is probably healthier than a lot of what you would call organic food in shops, which is why it's so unbelievably important to try and grow as much as you possibly can, and guerrilla garden if you can, you know, just to expand your space. Guerrilla gardening, chances are no one's going to touch your food. In a shit hits the fan scenario, your allotment's going to get wiped out. It's as simple as that. Where are we? Shame. Yes, same year as. Yes, same year as me, and those preps helped me in COVID times. Intuition at its finest. Absolutely, Boho Richie. I never felt it more strongly than now for people to do it. Yeah, and I do encourage people, you know, but it's a case of trying to do it. Is she still fucking drinking? No. It's a case, it's all right. It's just, it's kind of echoing in my mind. You've no idea. So this is why I still say to people, get loads of food in, get loads of extra food in. And I think now we're approaching the summer of 2025. My approach is going to have to change just a little bit, to the point where I'm going to end it with something along the lines of, I've warned you, right? You are going to get caught with your pants down if you don't do what I've just said. And I need you to know that when this happens, I'm not going to be able to help you out, which is why I'm giving you lots of warning. That's it. You've covered your back. But if then you decide further down the line that they may be an asset to you and you can trust them impeccably, 100%, then you can utilize them and feed them, as you know, and their payment is loyalty and to protect your castle. I hope that makes sense to someone. But intuition is incredibly powerful. You know, we've got senses that have been so dumbed down. You know, it is literally a crime against humanity. But then the ones that are still dumbed down are meant to just be dumbed down, and there's nothing you can do about them. You know, if they are family members, just do your best. Try and hold the family together if you can, because it's powerful. A family unit is powerful. But anyone else in your life that you just, like I said, I've just left my club. You know, that was great for my mental health and feeling part of something, you know. But when I suddenly realised that night that I had absolutely nothing in common with them anymore, that was it. I contacted the club and said I won't be attending anymore. That's it. Even though I got Student of the Year not yesterday, for 2024, but I wasn't there to collect it. Do you trust your own instincts? I absolutely do, Joanna. Yeah. To be honest with you, I don't think I would be anywhere near as enthusiastic about encouraging people to look after their gut with certain foods and then insisting that you trust your gut if I'm not doing any of those things. It makes no sense. It wouldn't make me qualified. But I do trust my gut. My gut doesn't let me down. And Sometimes I ignore it to my own detriment, but generally speaking, oh man. You see, when you're in a chat like this and you go and you say something like, I'm usually right, that sounds egotistical, and I'm not an egotistical man. I'm not. I never have been. Oh, Motoromas, why have you deleted your message, mate? We're very pro freedom of speech, very pro, right? Come in, say what you want, as long as you're not a twat. Welcome, welcome to us. Bloodfish and bone meal. Oh, I'll grind your bones to make my bread. Fee, fi, fo, fum. You are the most health conscious chain smoker. Oh my God. I absolutely fucking love that comment because it's so true. I mean, I don't smoke this much during the day because I'm occupied, I'm constantly on the go trying to get stuff done, right? And I do vape. But I know that the algorithms can pick up on smoking. They don't like smoking. It doesn't like smoking. It also doesn't like foul language, which I fucking, it does fucking do my fucking head in a bit, if I'm fucking honest. No, it doesn't. And it doesn't like certain subjects. There are certain keywords that it doesn't like. And I'll say them all because I want to, and I know I've said this to you 1,000 times before, I want to condense our little tribe into extremely like-minded people because I think we've got the right mind, as a collective. We click. The chemistry's there. Now, if you didn't like spending any time around me, I wouldn't have more or less the same people joining on the lives every time. The same people. We get a few newcomers, that pop in now and then because it's a public live. But generally speaking, get the same faces, and then you end up chatting amongst each other and saying hi and just being lovely to each other. That's what I was aiming for. It didn't start off that way. It started off as a journal. I know I've said that before, just as a journal of everything that I was going through at the time. It was just a release because I'd shut everyone out. I'd completely cocooned myself. So I needed to talk. So being able to talk and, some people understood, some people didn't, in the comments and stuff like that. And then I started looking into prepping and it all kind of took off from there, really. But yeah, the algorithms don't like you lighting up it can pick it all up. It can pick it all up, doesn't like smokers. But yeah, I am very, very health conscious, but yes, I do smoke. I do have a drink at a weekend. But my fitness levels are decent to the point where I don't slow down and I give it 110%. So, and there are lots and lots of things that you can help to detoxify your body, yourself, physically, with, not necessarily taking loads of walnuts and, loads of blueberries and blah, 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 because they're all antioxidants and stuff like that. You can do it physically yourself. You can do it. Have a look at some YouTube videos online, and there are some pretty decent ones. If I remember, I'll put it in the thingy section where it says more. But yeah, I mean, things like just bouncing up and down. So your heels don't touch the ground. You're just lifting yourself up off your toes and that padded area there. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Do that for about 5 minutes, because that helps to clear, or helps to push through your lymphatic system, which speeds up the purge of anything that your body doesn't really want or like, Now, the last time I had cancer, that came back in a lymph node. So that's one of the reasons why I do a lot of bouncing as well. I wonder if you can see would it be bad to show you my scar? Be honest, would you like to see my scar? I know that it's not very not very typical of the channel, not very typical of me. Where are you? Jack and the Beanstalk. I don't know what that's relating to, Maria. I've been feeling a lot more scared recently. Something big is coming, and I'm a lone female. Just make sure you've got something in every room, and make sure your home's secured at all time, and I would agree to this to some degree or another. So just bear this in mind, Ray, that 90% of what you're afraid of happening doesn't come to pass. It doesn't happen. So you're wasting all of that energy on being scared for something that quite likely isn't going to happen. But having said that, if it is a proper gut feeling, then you're going to be guarded. Yes, the gut-brain connection is fascinating, Bo Ritchie. It never, ever, ever, I never get bored of talking about stuff like that. It's incredible. If you can stay on top of everything mentally, you'll thrive. You'll thrive through an SHTF situation, as long as you manage to find some level of composure. But initially, yeah, it's sometimes you need to experience a bit of darkness to appreciate the light. We all know this. But don't worry too much, Ray. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Have confidence in yourself. Have a bit of faith in yourself. Maybe you could get my email privately from Terry so we can be in touch. That would be lovely, Joe. If you could do that with Ray, so, two chicks going at it, and who knows, maybe further down the line, exchange phone numbers and be sort of like a 2025 version of a pen pal, just knowing they're there for each other. I think that'd be lovely. So if you want to do that, if you want to use me as a conduit between you two, I am more than happy to do that. Absolutely no problem. So that would require you emailing me, Ray, and again, because I've got a lot of emails that I need to delete just to, you know, it's just for the channel, but the amount of emails I get is phenomenal. So yeah, send me your email, Ray, and I'll put you in touch with Joanna if you want to get in touch with Joanna. Joanna won't be offended if you don't want to. I think I know her that well. So it's up to you. Ball's in your two's court. I'm listening, but if I go quiet, I've nodded off. Lovely evening. I hope it's not because I'm boring you shitless, Boho Whitney. Boho Whitney. Right, that's good. So email me, Ray, and I'll hook you both up, okay? You can make your own bone meal by cooking your chicken, then drying the bones in the oven and crushing them, then wash the veg with that water. That's a great idea. Yeah. I hope everyone's reading this because it's good. It's good. Weeds in the compost, always. Yeah, everything goes in my composter. No, Ray, pepper spray in this country, even though you can get your hands on it, you know, if you look in the right places, it's illegal. And even when police officers carry it, it is still considered, believe it or not, it's considered a firearm. So when they have to sort of like handle